We are taking up the issue of Baltistan investment conference that is being planned, and potential investors are being attracted towards Baltistan. So with that, let me bring in Amir to start the webinar.
Roadshow, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today for the first in a series of Roadshow webinars that will be taking us through to the month of March. These webinars are supposed to be a preparation for interested stakeholders and investors to basically lure them to our first annual conference, which we are planning from March 21 to 25 in Gilgit. I will quickly introduce the initiative. If I can share my screen, we'll be followed by, which will be then a statement by Harun Sharif Saab. He's joining by phone, and then he'll also say something after that. We'll have Dr. Salman Shah Daud, who will join from Dubai, Humayun Habib joining us from Kuala Lumpur, and we'll have Fatahullah Khan Saab, who is the Planning and Development he's the Planning and Development Minister, I assume, from GB. So essentially, very quickly introduce the objectives of today, why we are here. Primarily, these are part of the road shows. We are going to conduct 3 to 4 more during February. And just for the information of everybody, that at the Dubai Expo Pavilion, next month is the Gilgit-Baltistan month. And we are therefore hoping to organize a few more of these roadshows centered from that pavilion. Today being the first of the series, what we want to achieve and for the speakers is to first understand their views about this initiative, what their experience brings to bear, advice from them, what do they think, how this initiative can be improved. We have provided our site address, which is the current website for the investment initiative. It's called www.GBInvest.org. So with that, I think let's start our learning today. We have with us, first and foremost, Harun Sharif Saab. He is the ex-minister, chairman of BOI, and basically brings a lot of investment experience of garnering investment from not only the world, but particularly from the Gulf countries.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's indeed a pleasure to address actually investors who are listening to today's proceedings about Gilgit-Baltistan Investment Forum. I would like to congratulate Government of Gilgit-Baltistan, Rupani Foundation, Reenergia, and other partners who have put this event together at a very timely, in a very timely manner. From my perspective as the former chairman of Board of Investment in Pakistan and Minister of State, I really welcome initiatives to look at investment opportunities at the provincial levels, particularly in the priority sectors like energy, tourism, technology, agriculture, as identified for this particular event. What we are looking at Pakistan is that there's a very clear message from the political leadership that Pakistan is open for business. However, Pakistan needs to go into very specific transactions where we have our comparative advantage for the investors, and sporting investment climate needs to be developed at the provincial level. And this particular initiative, I look forward to outcomes where you get feedback about the sporting investment climate. A few words about what investors should look for in Gilgit-Baltistan and in Pakistan in general. Pakistan offers a lot of opportunities because of our endowments, because of our human resources, because of our location. But the key message for this forum to me is that the sponsors of this forum should develop transactions for the business transactions for the investors to take advantage of these opportunities. The sporting regulatory environment and policies need to be flexible because each sector needs different set of sporting environment. And we need to have financing arrangements in addition to physical infrastructure so that a package can be developed in partnership with the investors' feedback, which is targeted for specific business projects and transactions. In terms of this particular forum, I would like to emphasize that the sponsors and the government of Gilgit-Baltistan should also look at the possibility of creating a fund which can combine multiple investors' money and manage investments on their behalf to give them comfort. Because the size of investments in Gilgit-Baltistan are going to be not that large where big investors could actually take the transaction. So maybe it will be a good idea to actually create a Gilgit-Baltistan investment fund and managed by professional bankers and professional economists who could actually make investments in multiple small investors on multiple small projects on behalf of investors. So I look forward to a meaningful outcome of this effort, and also because it's the first of its nature, not only informing the investors about opportunities, but also giving institutional solutions in terms of making a facilitative environment, effective regulatory support, but more importantly, connecting business to business deals through managerial skills. So I wish everybody best of luck and look forward to some tangible outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harun Saab. Harun Saab is on the line. Maybe Harun Saab, you want to add a few words, but I'm very impressed by your 2 points that you made, which you've been thinking about. So in your message, if you could highlight that. One is, the fact that we are really institutionalizing this fund. The idea is to provide institutional support throughout the year so that investors are not left unto themselves. And I think your idea of the GBInvest fund, I think maybe we need to discuss a little bit more about that, but those are the lines along which we are thinking. So over to you, Harun Saab.
Thank you very much, Amir and PIDE, for inviting me. As you can see, I'm sitting in the car traveling from Lahore to Islamabad. I will just add a few things based on my experience. What I'm suggesting here is that there is a pool of liquidity available within the region. Countries like Qatar, countries like Saudi Arabia, China, they have their sovereign wealth funds which are looking for a house to go. And the priority sectors identified by the organizers actually quite nicely fit into the objectives of most of these sovereign wealth funds. However, the size of money is huge, and they will be looking for somebody in Pakistan, a credible name, credible institutional setup with good corporate governance to manage their money. That will give them comfort to come in. Because of multiple factors like COVID, the traveling is tough. In Pakistan, people are skeptical in terms of barriers bureaucracy creates. So if somebody, a nice group of people in Pakistan can provide comfort to these guys, I volunteer that, it will be very easy for me to connect with these investors who are looking for, opportunities in this area, particularly since this area is going to be connected with the China-Pakistan economic corridor. And, so people are quite keen. The problem comes that when you physically look for investors to come and develop projects. My second suggestion is that one is the money part, but maybe the organizers should think for developing a project development facility, which is kind of a technical assistance where you convert the traditional feasibility reports into an investor information sheet the way private investors are looking at it, because governments are not good at it. When I was chairman BOI, I had invited Gilgit-Baltistan to present their case, but I could see was that their case was, it's a beautiful land, we have lots of opportunities, come and set up hotels, but they did not have a concrete transaction or proposition where investor could say, aha, okay, I can start tomorrow from this level. So we need to invest in these areas. If we do that, nothing succeeds more than a successful transaction, no matter how small it is. So my message is that to aim for a couple of transactions in renewable energy, in tourism, in hoteling, in trade facilitation, because of the road linkages, that will actually set the foundation where you can leverage and invite other people to come in and look at Gilgit-Baltistan. It's very good that private sector is partnering on taking the lead, because government's capability is limited, and that is how you should take it forward. I wish everybody lots of luck and look forward to actually seeing some transactions taking place. And eventually, this financial sector fund and other ideas should be giving comfort to potential interested parties. I'll be available throughout for questions and answers. So thank you very much for your time again. And I look forward to interesting proceedings.
Thank you very much, Harun Saab. I think, again, fantabulous suggestions at your end. I think the suggestion of having a project development facility, we have this in our long slide deck, and we are hoping to gather some money into this at the conference in March, and we hope to also see you there. I think it's important for me to point out that, what Harun Saab has simply mentioned about the wealth funds in the region, this is a very significant point. And I would hope that some of the other people who are going to speak now should also look at that. Let me make a quick intervention here before we go to the next speaker, who's going to be Dr. Salman Shah. Before Shah Saab actually takes the mic, let me also introduce the table. We have with us Jalal Shah from Kazakhstan. He's joining us. He's part of Rupani Foundation's global team. We have Wasim, who has joined us. He's the CEO of Rupani Foundation. I think, have Ataullah Saab, who is the Vice Chancellor of Karakorum International University. And we have with us Dr. Naeem. Again, can't see him, but I'm hoping that he's here. And along with them, Qazi Najib Ashraf from Dubai, who will be representing Reenergia from Dubai. I think the question and answers, ladies and gentlemen, please wait or write me in the chat screen. We are going to run through the speakers before we will open this for Q&A. When you do the Q&A, please do identify yourself. And so without further ado, let me move over to Salman Shah Saab. Shah Saab, you have the floor. Salman Saab, are you there?
Dr. Salman Saab.
Yes, I am there.
Okay, sir. If you could turn on, you are allowed, please go ahead and turn on your video and please go ahead.
Okay, I'm turning on the video, but somehow it's not coming on. But anyways, can you hear me?
We can hear you very well, sir.
Okay, so you'll have to do without the video, but the audio can suffice. So I must say this is a great initiative, Amir. And it will take a lot of hard work to make it into a reality. What I think, I'll come to the point very quickly. Gilgit-Baltistan is absolutely a fabulous place. Almost 72,000 square kilometers of beauty, bigger than Switzerland, at least 60% bigger than Switzerland, and totally underdeveloped. So the question really is, how do you actually come up with the investment opportunities which you would like to market to the investors? So I think we are some distance from that point. Before we are able to do that, I think maybe the government of Gilgit-Baltistan or somebody like your entity here, we need to do a comprehensive kind of spatial planning for Gilgit-Baltistan. And based on that planning, we would need to then have translated into a spatial strategy for Gilgit-Baltistan. So because the area is so big and so underdeveloped, investment in infrastructure will be will probably have to be enhanced considerably until you can get to specific projects. So I think we need a survey in which we can identify the regions in Gilgit-Baltistan which can absorb some immediate investments versus areas where it will be some time before investments can come. In this respect, for example, in Punjab, we have done spatial planning and spatial strategy primarily for the economic areas in Punjab, which is manufacturing, which is agriculture and services. In Gilgit-Baltistan, on the other hand, it would primarily start off with the tourism side, and the tourism sites have to be identified, and an ecosystem for tourism will have to be put in place in Gilgit-Baltistan so that it can facilitate investments in specific projects. The second thing is that Gilgit-Baltistan has a lot of energy, hydel energy potential. So there could be demand for this hydel energy, and that could also form an investment area. The third thing would be that the connectivity of Gilgit-Baltistan with the rest of the world, including Pakistan, would have to be assessed, and around that you can build up a network of hotels and other kind of investments which can give you some early results. So what I am basically saying is that we have to do a lot of work, and this is a very big opportunity, particularly for the government of Gilgit-Baltistan, and they need to have a comprehensive plan. I mean, without the plan, you would not go very far, because this plan has to be very well done, and it has, I mean, if you look at it in another 10 years, 15 years, if Gilgit-Baltistan has to be put on the world map for tourism and adventure tourism and those kinds of things, it will need a very solid planning. So I think that's where we need to focus on, that let's put up a blueprint kind of Gilgit-Baltistan where it is today and where we expect it to go over the next 10 to 15 years in terms of developing these opportunities, and how you will then schedule in the various investments. So the investments could start from infrastructure and then move on to specific projects where you could have hotels, ski resorts, logistic companies, all kinds of warehouses. As Harun said, it is apart from being one of the wonders of the world in terms of natural beauty, it also is connecting with China, which is really the future. In China, you have the world's largest economy, and their tourism is also booming. And Gilgit-Baltistan can really benefit from attracting investments and tourists from China as well. So I think that that would also be a very important component of the overall planning. So I think this is a great initiative, Amir, but you'll have to do a lot of work, and the government of Baltistan will have to do a lot of work, and the lack of information is going to be your main problem. So you have to develop all kinds of data and information, and also have the plans of the government in place so people know exactly what the government is doing and how they can leverage on those investments which the government will make. So good luck. And I think this is something which is going to be a game changer for Gilgit-Baltistan. At least we can start thinking about how to make it a truly global center for tourism, because I mean it is so raw that you can almost design it. It's like Elon Musk going into space and creating a whole new area of space travel. So Gilgit-Baltistan is probably a little bit less than that esoteric, but it is that raw that we need to really work on it to make it viable for investors to come in. So good luck, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Salman Saab. As always, you have a way of exciting people and getting them into trouble, but I think those are very kind words. I mean, let's be very clear that we have a team here. I am just you can put me down as a compere right now, but we have a good team, and thank you for your words of encouragement. For those in the audience joining from abroad, I forgot to introduce, but Salman Shah Saab is currently an advisor to the Chief Minister of Punjab, but has held many lofty positions. He has been the Finance Minister of Pakistan. He has been the chairman of the Privatization Commission, and you know, the list is long. So we are really, really obliged that a person of his stature was able to give time to us. Once again, Salman Saab Shah, I know that you're also not well. So it's really shows a lot of commitment on your part, and I think this should buck up all the partners when people like you support us. I would now like to invite Hassan Dawood. If Hassan is there online, is Hassan, are you there? So that I can actually.
Yes, sir, I am here. I am attending this conference from Dubai. We are calling from. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. For those of you who do not know, Hassan is currently the GBII chairman. That is the chairman of the Board of Investment and Technology. I'm going to say that all wrong, but nevertheless, he'll correct me. He is currently, and KP is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, one of the upcoming provinces. Hassan has a long history with China, CPEC. Instead of wasting time on his introductions, he is currently the big news item today in the morning. Hassan and his government and KP have been able to sign at the Dubai Expo Pavilion something close to $8 billion. For those of you who have not read today's papers, I think Hassan has put himself and all of us under a lot of pressure, but Hassan, amazingly done. So with that, I'll give it over to you. And once again, thank you very much for all this last minute makeup and, you know, surrendering your time when Her Excellency Amna left, and I hope to see you in the next webinars. And again, thank you. Over to you, Hassan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, it's my honor, and I'm extremely delighted to be part of this. You know, all of us jointly have this responsibility, and we owe this to Gilgit-Baltistan because, CPEC is too dear to me. I've been working with this from its start when I was in China in the embassy, and still remain actively engaged with Rashakai. I think if it was not for GB, we wouldn't have had the KKH, and we wouldn't have had the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, at least not in the shape that we have it now. So with this, I think I will just share what, let me share my recommendations for the short term, because I would write to just give them few recommendations, and all of you with how to plan their expo and how they can showcase GB in the best of ways. So what I did was initially, and that was a challenging part, and I'm not sure whether they have this time, I have only showcased projects here for which we had the feasibilities ready. No project was pitched here where we were just वो जो हम वो बड़े tall claims करते हैं ना अक्सर, तो वो I avoided that, being realistic and professional, and most importantly यहाँ पर जो भी आप वादे करें, CPEC may be also, when I used to engage Claire, the promises that we make and the incentives that we offer, we should be willing, ready, and we must have the capacity to actually give those to our investors. क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं हो कि वो एक दफा आए और आपके पास आके दें, अगर can I do we have a foreigner here, or can I be speaking straight from my heart in Urdu? Durrani sahab, आपका फोन बंद. Because what I want to say is कि let's take Mokman Das.
We have some people from the Southeast Asia, so best to stick with English.
Yeah, okay. So then let me hold some of my thoughts which I was about to say candidly. I think let's take Mokman Das case for example. Chinese keen in doing investment in Mokman Das. They're coming, doing their surveys, and what have we achieved thus far is in front of all of you. I've been talking to the former CEOs of the Board of Investment, talking to their people, kind of potential, kind of Chinese interest in Mokman Das. What can they do? How can we? And the linkages that GB has with China are phenomenal. But still, there's no talk of Mokman Das as in the short term project. And why not? I have no answers to this. So based on that fact, I think what we can do is, what we did was that when we were preparing for Expo, we made sure that our presentation, our presenters are A class, nothing less than A class. So that and also our commitment should be A class. Therefore, when I came and I started interacting with investors here, speaking to them, running like a chicken with head cut off, we were able to actually give them an impression of how tourism, how infrastructure development, how mines and mineral sectors are important, key endowment, and how government is willing to provide them an extra space in order to leverage our natural endowment. So I think they should also make this happen. This commitment should come not just from the political leadership, but also from the administrative leadership. And when they select their teams to come here, they should be very, very careful in who they are sending and what they are showcasing. And I think the kind of interest that I've seen in Dubai, and also the kind of areas that the investors here are looking for in the tourism sector, I think Mokman Das, for instance, should be an immediate hit. So if I plan for Expo GB, I would my first deliverable should be Mokman Das. My second deliverable should be eco-friendly hotel investment in the hotel sector, services sector largely, but in 4-star, 5-star hotels. And there are a lot of investors who are willing to do that, and perhaps they might not carry these brand names, but they have this equity available for them to come and invest there in GB. So that is also an area where we can work. Other is perhaps in the livestock and agriculture sector. Because my approach always has been working in Board of Investment, earlier in CPEC, to work on short and medium term projects. Long term, those projects which are might not happen in my lifetime, I'm really not interested. So those short term, medium term projects, they should come, showcase, call the investors immediately, provide them easy access and information. They should have their teams ready over Zoom, via any other link, and perhaps get this done ASAP. Lastly, I think हम बहुत बातें करते हैं on the tourism potential that they have, and there's a growing realization. I've seen so many brilliant videos of what they offer, the cuisine and everything. I think those in the best of possible way should be projected here. Expo is giving them a great opportunity to showcase. We'll use this to our great potential and capacity. We came here, we saw and met people, and then based on that, we were able to achieve. And these numbers, when they come there, when they're implemented, they should look for their local GB guys living in Dubai. Connect with them. I'm just focusing on Expo now. Beyond that, perhaps you have speakers who have great vision. So I will just focus on this. So they should now immediately connect to people, even bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats, and scholars, and everyone who's been in Dubai, or who's worked in Dubai, or is working with Dubai, and get their input on what can be achieved. I can link them with some of the investors I have worked with. They're keen in tourism, and then फिर उसके बाद वापस जाके they should set up a working group which can follow up on this. I mean, again, Mokman Das as a case study, and Durrani Sahab, you've been seeing this, go all the way. Rashakai, we were able to do this because there was a commitment and a top-down commitment. And it helped me, craft the commercial concessional agreement, the development agreement, just in a matter of 6 months. And then we were able to start developing. So they should, and then kuch to government ko bhi apne haath mein lena hoga. I mean, they should also be ready to perhaps invest in the infrastructure development, roads, energy. And then again, and I'll stop there. जो scarcity of electricity hai, scarcity of energy hai, isko jaldi se jaldi address kare, both from the federal level and also from the provincial level. Or is connectivity ko, because in this time and age, when an investor comes, when tourists come, all they need is internet and electricity. Baki adventure tourism bahut hai, and they can make it adventure tourism. But electricity in urban center agar unka hai, and also internet facility, because without that tourists won't come to them, because excellent overall socio economic development can shape through this tourism sector. And the other area, I think there is a growing interest for investment is the healthcare sector. Healthcare sector में यहाँ पर बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं investors who are willing to invest in healthcare sector और उसके showcase करें. But please, without feasibility, without doing homework, यहाँ पर आके tall claims ना करें, उसका फिर counterproductive होते हैं. This is all I have to say. And sorry for being a bit candid.
Dalbhai, thank you very much for those very, very important points. I think some of what you said basically echoes what Salman Shah has already said, that the government really needs to think very solidly. While the GBInvest.org is a private sector initiative, the government has to think in parallel of maybe matching. And I think Salman Sahib's idea of a spatial strategy that allows for focus on those areas which has absorption capacity, not only sectorally, but also geographically. I think your suggestions are very much in line with that, and obviously based on your experience. I also like to thank you for bringing attention to the GB Expo. And I'm hoping that we will have a GBInvest.org. We will be a part of the GB complete GB month. And we will work with the GB government to make this a reality, which we've already started doing, to make sure that we are able to project this private sector initiative. And as you can see, this is going to complement the government. And so the government of GB has to rise to the occasion, because if either one stays back, a lot of these initiatives, could be hurt. However, having said that, I also like the idea that initially Harun said, what you were saying is focus on 3 areas or 3 things that can happen in your lifetime, and can actually, nothing succeeds like success. As Salman Saab said, I think we need to be, sort of very cognizant of that. I think the last but not least, what you mentioned about the working group. So when you come back to Pakistan, I'll be happy to sit with you before we invite you again to show you how and why, because of what you said, we have a permanent secretariat, which has been set up for this particular reason as part of GBInvest.org. So thank you, Daud, for being there, and stay as long as you are. We'll have some questions, but if you have to go, I guess that's your choice. And I again,
no, I'm here. I would be willing to answer any question if you have. Thank you.
So I'm now going to, ladies and gentlemen, move to our friend who's joining us from Kuala Lumpur, Humayun Habib. He is the founding member of the Southeast Asia Coordination Committee of ICAP. He's also a member of the Pakistan-Malaysia Business Council, which aims to promote trade and commerce between the 2 countries. So Humayun, you have a lot to do, because if you remember, you had asked me what you need to talk about. So since Excellency, I think there was a plot, maybe you called the foreign minister and she had to go for a meeting. So Amna was unable to join us. So you will have to fill us in on all 3 points that I had forwarded to you this morning. And thank you so much for coordinating this, very professional of you. So over to you, Humayun.
Thank you very much, Amir Saab, and thank you for providing the opportunity to share the perspective from Southeast Asia. Okay, essentially, I think what I'll try to do is I'll try to touch upon few points which are more actionable and some of the opportunities, and I'm happy to share some of the contacts which can be, kind of a follow-through action. Some of the work that we have done along with the High Commission and along with the Business Council, and some of the engagement on the Pakistan side. Broadly, I'll try to make 2 points. The first point, number one, I see that a lot of conversation is happening around tourism. So I will say this, that I think this is one area where we emphasize on the engagement and awareness. And engagement and awareness from 2 perspectives. One from the Pakistanis perspective, and secondly, from the overseas, the foreigners perspective, the people who are Malaysian nationals, or any other country in Southeast Asia, be it Singapore or any other country. My realization, observation, and something that we discuss quite a bit in Business Council is that CPAC, maybe GB, and a lot of other projects that are happening in Pakistan, we think in Pakistan they are quite big, and they are actually quite big. But unfortunately, there is not much engagement and awareness outside Pakistan, or maybe the scale and the branding and the positioning is probably not as penetrative as probably we would like it to be. So I can share from supply chain perspective that when I speak to supply chain professionals, they are not really aware about the alternative and probably the more cost competitive trade route available through Pakistan to tap into Afghanistan, to Central Asia markets. They are still doing the trade with Central Asia, with Iran, with Afghanistan via Iran route or via China route. So these are the 2 things that they're doing. And when I speak to them, they express surprise and they want more information. But we kind of struggle to provide that information to them also. So that's where on the trade flow side, there is an opportunity to create more engagement and awareness. Then there could be like, series of infographics, digital marketing campaign, some things like that. Secondly, on the tourism side, I would say that it's a very interesting opportunity. I hear Hassan Saab talking about the medical investment. So one of the things that I observe and learn from Malaysia is that Malaysia has been promoting for the last few years medical tourism. Maybe that could be something. I mean, we have heard Prime Minister talk about mountain tourism. Why not talk about medical tourism as well? So that could be one thing. Pre-pandemic, the conversations that we come across in Malaysia, and that's I'm talking about 2009 when 2019 when Pakistan and India had like political and border issues. So that time the discussion in the tourism circle was, more pro-Pakistan tourism circle was that, oh, there is an opportunity because India has been restraining foreign tourists going to Kashmir and that area. So Pakistan has an opportunity to engage Southeast Asians, Malaysians in particular, to promote tourism in that area. But probably I think we missed that opportunity along the way in somehow. So I think the situation is more or less still the same. India is not welcoming tourists to that part of the world as it used to. And I can tell you that from Malaysia, where I've been living and working for nearly 10 years, India has done a fantastic job for cultural engagement, promoting tourism, trade, and all those things. So there are things to learn from them. Second thing that they did was that a lot of Malaysians, they used to go, for example, the Indian community in Malaysia, the Malaysian Indians I'm talking about, when they have kind of wedding kind of events, they will plan their trips as in a three ways, the tourism, shopping spree in India, and the religious aspects in India where they would visit temples and stuff like that. So probably that could be something, to consider and tap upon when you're structuring some campaigns and attracting and targeting the foreign tourist. Another thing that I can tell you is this is a tropical region. So, 12 months a year, it's more or less the same climate. And, it's either it rains more or it rains less. More or less that's the change that happens throughout the year. So what I have seen, my friends, Malaysian friends, my colleagues, they would like to experience winter sports, winter and the snow. So they will head towards maybe South Korea. They'll plan their trips over there. They will spend some time maybe Taiwan or places like that to experience the winter and the snow. So I recently saw that Excellency Canadian High Commissioner, she's promoting winter sports in Pakistan. So that could be another opportunity to position and sell to the Malaysian tourists. And the third thing I can say that, post-pandemic and now the international travel is gradually opening up. So there is an immense opportunity. I think in some ways we have again missed that opportunity, but still I would like to think that it's never too late. People want to travel and by kind of culturally Southeast Asians, they are travelers. They have a lot of visa ease. Most of the times, like they have arrival visas and stuff like that, so they don't have to worry about the travel arrangements like we Pakistanis do on the green passport. So they just think, plan and travel. So there are a lot of options for them like that, budget travels and other sorts of things. So for 2 years, Southeast Asia especially has been under more severe lockdown and COVID SOPs than other parts of the world. And people really want to go out and travel in a safe manner. So probably that could be an opportunity to position. And more so for overseas Pakistanis perspective, if I speak from that angle, I just came back from Pakistan, and I know a lot of other friends who have either traveled or some of them, they are, planning their travels according to their children's school holidays and all that in the next few months. I think there is an opportunity that all of us are looking to get closer to the nature, and we all need break. So if in somehow we can engage overseas Pakistanis community in this region, and more specifically, I can talk about Malaysia, that when they're planning their trip, is there kind of incentive or opportunity that they can, along with that, they can plan travel in Gilgit-Baltistan or other parts of the parts of Pakistan, and when they come back to their work country, they will be your natural ambassadors for that destination if and when they have like good experience. That's another perspective. Another perspective I can share from investment point of view and expertise point of view is that Malaysia is a country of 34 million people, and the pre-pandemic annual international traveler and tourist Malaysia host is more than 20 million. 20 to 25 million tourists they visit. So in a way, in 1 year, the whole country kind of gets recycled. That's the amount of tourism they handle. So what does it tell? It tells us that they have developed in terms of human capital, in terms of infrastructure, a lot of expertise in the tourism sector. Currently, the chips are down for Malaysia on the international traveling and tourism side. Not many travelers are coming to Malaysia. But still, I would like to think that they still have those human capital, trained human capital, which Pakistan is trying to develop. And we know, from our first-hand experiences, that how refined Pakistani hospitality area is. There can be, some crude experiences. So that is something that can be leveraged from attracting the investors and human capital to train Pakistani human capital from that angle. So that's another opportunity that I can see. One more piece from Malaysia-Pakistan Business Council angle that I can share is that although like things were very restrictive last year, but we managed to sign a couple of MOUs with Pakistani organizations. One of them was Walnut Tours and Travels, which is Islamabad-based organization. And they have been kind of trying to tap and build bridges for tourism between ASEAN region and Pakistan. So I think this is something that, from Business Council perspective, we can, help to connect the bridges, build the bridges, and something to possibly leverage upon and learn from the experiences, because they have been engaging with the region for some time. So that's, I think, some of the points that I can share on the tourism perspective and all. Another thing I can share is that, and I've been trying to lobby and educate this piece, that in Malaysia, for example, we have more than 2,000 Pakistani students. And I look at these students as an untapped strategic asset. And why I say is that because they live here for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. They familiarize with the culture. They learn a lot of things. They get more international exposure in this part of the world compared to, say, in Pakistan. And when they go back, in my 10 years of living in this region, I'm yet to come across a person who has actually, studied or lived here in this part of the world, and later has been engaged in promoting trade, tourism, or other opportunities between Pakistan and this region. So practically what happens is they come here, live here, study here, educate themselves, familiarize themselves, acquire some skills, and then they disappear in thin air. So probably there's an opportunity to engage that strategic asset. And this is also considering the fact that some of the Pakistani universities and business schools, for example, alums, for example, IBA, and from ICAP side, I've been trying to, establish connection with the University of Malayo, which is one of the highest rating international universities. They have MOUs in place, but I don't see much active engagement. Malaysians going to that part or Pakistanis coming to this part, except for, I think there was one event 4 or 5 years back, which IBA organized in Kuala Lumpur, 2-3 days event. But I don't see much engagement and activity. So I think that's one of the untapped strategic asset that we have. These resources, the guys and the girls, they can be our ambassadors, and they can be our, asset who can bring that knowledge and expertise to that part of it, and they can help to bridge and connect with the people here. So, this is mainly a few broad points that I want to say. So just to wrap up, I think 2 points: awareness and engagement. And I think tapping on the strategic asset students, these are my 2 broad strokes. And happy to connect if any connection, some of the work that we have done to share with the folks in this call. So thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Yeah.
Mayo, thank you very much. This has been tremendous. I have learned a lot. To be very honest, you've brought out some elements which have been hitherto missing in our discussions. I think you think about the students being an asset for promoting these kind of opportunities is a tremendous one. Using this COVID opportunity, rebuilding, looking at these package vacations, which you really pointed out, like copying the India model, actually going further, which is basically package tourism, which is people coming back for weddings or even for preparing for weddings, which I recently found is a big thing. The wedding might be in the US, but actually the parents and the girls and the boys come to purchase their clothes here. So I think, using that opportunity to bring about, and I think this talk about the weather, that Southeast Asia, I mean, I've had the good fortune of not only working, but also visiting many times, both Malaysia, Philippines, and many other countries in the region. Worked a long time in Philippines, actually. The idea that, yes, it's a monotonous weather, right? It's humid, it's kind of mild, hot, but it rains, then it rains a bit more, and then there are floods, and then, et cetera, et cetera. So I think all these very amazing comments about how to raise awareness and how to engage better. I think I am going to recommend to our partners who are now actually at the table that maybe we should add Humayun. The other people obviously are engaged in many things, and so is Humayun, but I think he is one person we must, from the Southeast Asia angle, add to our core team. And, he is, and maybe he can consider that as a bit of a CSR. So thank you very much, Humayun. I'm now going to check if Mr. Faratullah Khan, are you there? Mr. Faratullah Khan, who I'm hoping to be here, is a member of the GB Assembly and is currently the Minister for Planning and Development and Information Department in Gilgit-Baltistan. So Faratullah Sahab, if you're there, Wasim and Jalal, can you confirm if he's there?
Sir, at that moment I disconnect ho chuke hain.
Okay, no issues. I think we have around the table quite a few people. So maybe I will, ask them to pitch a few ideas. If we can start with, before we go to Wasim and Jalal, if you allow me to be bold, I mean, given that what we've heard, maybe Qazi Najibullah sitting in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, can sort of summarize what he got, and then we'll go to some questions. I see Aziz Ahmed Saab has a question. So Qazi, would you like to say a few words before I go over to the other folks around the table? It'd be nice if you could put your camera on also and let the audience see you. Thank you.
Just give me a second, please. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thanks a lot for having me over. And I think a brief introduction. I've been in Dubai now for about 2 decades, and have worked across the region, Middle East and Africa. And a great conversation, great information as well. From all the participants. There are, I did hear, opportunities for us to go and approach different investors across here in the Middle East region, and especially in Dubai. It's just that the proposition has to be clear. So, if the proposition is clear, we can always utilize the services here from Pakistan Association Dubai and other Pakistani business councils to take it forward. This is what I have to say, Amir.
Thank you very much. I think that's very pointed. And I think, again, what you're highlighting is what everyone has been pointing, that make the proposition clear, make sure people are aware of it, and make sure that, there's good follow through. So do not bring transactions which are half prepped and are not going to go anywhere. I think I would like, before going to the floor, maybe ask Ataullah Saab, Jalal, Wasim, and maybe if Naeem Saab is there. So who would like to start? Let me just take picks. Maybe I'd like, if Ataullah Saab, are you there?
Sir, please unmute yourself, Dr. Ataullah Saab.
Thank you very much.
Chancellor of Karakorum University, Ataullah Saab brings a lot of experience, has been now the VC in GB, if I'm correct, for the last 4 years. And I would like him to just add a few words of his impressions on what he's heard. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir. Over to you. Your impressions on what you've heard today. Quick, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think this has been really a wonderful discussion, and we are learning from the diverse experience of the speakers. I think I had a couple of meetings with Hassan Dawood Bhatt Sahab, and his approach has been always very proactive and pragmatic. And we would need to learn from their experience of KP Expo at Dubai. So I think the core team, which is developing this GBInvest.
Ataullah Sahab, if you can hear us, we will bring you back on in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Ataullah
So
Sahab, can you?
Yes, thank you. Just conclude कि जितने भी all the speakers who shared their very rich experience. One important Amir, which we could see last time, there is a good interest of international investor in the health-related tourism, and one of the investor from Brunei. He was Baron Abdul Razak, was really interested to develop some kind of health hospital, tourism health hospital facility at GB. And he also talked to some people from the government. But unfortunately, as mentioned by one of the colleagues, that we don't have the conducive environment and the ecosystem which can attract these investors. So I think the more important would be the homework while working with the different stakeholders on ground, so that once we are attracting these people to work with us, we should have all the facilitation with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, we have some questions from the floor. I recognize Khadija, Aziz Ahmed Saab, and we will, sort of shuttle between the table and these people. All those people who are going to ask questions, please identify yourself, where you're located, and your purpose of joining the meeting, as well as what is your affiliation. Go ahead, Aziz Saab first.
Sir, please unmute yourself. Aziz Saab, sir.
Yes, sir, you can unmute yourself. Please, you have unmute. Please introduce yourself, your affiliation.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Aziz Ahmed Hayat, sitting in Toronto, Canada. And it's midnight here anyway. We had a storm yesterday, a very heavy storm. Fortunately, it was about 70 to 80 centimeters snow. The roads are still, but they cleared the roads anyway. Not a single death took place. Basically, I live in, I'm from Hunza, especially Karimabad, and I'm a resident of Canada. But when I compare the infrastructure like Dr. Salman and rightly Mr. Hassan Dawood said, anything which is, it becomes top bottom, anything, any project, because I'm in energy and sustainability and in entrepreneurship. And I've seen, because the approach we are taking, anything which comes from top to bottom is not that successful. We have to take from bottom to top approach. And secondly, I have few concerns. My concern is the area is, eco-sensitive and also culture sensitive. The way the approach we are taking is the East African approach for development, which I don't agree, probably I don't buy, and will not accept it as a resident of the GB. But we have to see that what else approach we can take it. That is the Ecuador approach. You see, they make $3 billion yearly from their culture. We have very strong culture other than the ecotourism.
If you have questions, I appreciate your views, but if you have questions,
so you have to listen to me, sir, because I'm also.
I think that you were not listening to us, because we are doing impact investment, which is not any approach.
So that's what impact, because all
is actually about eco-tourism, eco-culture, and everything.
Exactly.
Listening to our presentation.
No. My question is, all the electricity, like Mr. Salman said, or the present electricity is generated by diesel generator. and how much carbon is being emitted in there. It has increased my health problems. How this is going to be inclusive? My concern is, sir, how is going to be inclusive in that your development?
Mr. Aziz, I thank you very much for your views. I think that in order to save some time, I appreciate, respect, you have a very good set of questions, but I do believe that you have not gone to our website. You have not looked at, this is number one, it is not a government initiative. It is not an initiative that is looking at massive infrastructure development. Let me again clarify to you that we are actually going bottom up. So this is cultural involvement, working with communities. I would really appreciate everybody. And please go to the website www.gbinvest.org. And Aziz Saab, I would like to take you offline for answering any of your questions, because this is a local initiative. So I would like to now move over to Khadija. Thank you very much. Khadija, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Khadija Khan and I am from Hunza. I am based in Islamabad, but I am from Hunza. So my question is about the, the purpose of this impact investment, GB impact investment. I really want to know the real purpose of this whole thing, whether it will be helpful to build the soft skills of people, the kind of skill sets we need, the kind of environment we need for a responsible and more, properly organized and controlled kind of tourism, because what we saw in very recently has really disappointed the whole nation. So we don't really want to see something like this happening in GB, because the number of people going to GB every year is quite huge, and this will increase gradually, and it will put enormous pressure on the culture and on the environment of the area. So we really want to see something tangible happening under this GBInvest, especially building the capacities and soft skills of people.
Excellent. Khadija ji, thank you so much. I would again, we have just put the website there. The true initiative is because we all believe in community-led development. The people who are behind this, as you can see, we have the Rupani Foundation along with our Khan Road Support Program. Everyone, they have been working in the region, supporting people's voices in development. It is exactly the things like money to avoid them is why we want to make this a private sector-led initiative which has the voice of GB people in it. I would appreciate if you can go to the website. I'm available. You'll find our addresses there. To the people who are asking questions, kindly keep these questions limited to a minute so that we can get maybe some of the speakers to also answer them. Over to Khurram then, please. Mansoor Khurram gets the mic, and then Principal after Khurram, please.
Khurram, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Amir, for creating this opportunity for everybody to actually look deeper into the whole opportunity. My question would be like, obviously it's bottom up, but at the same time, obviously what Dautsa was saying and Sumansha, I mean, most likely we are talking about like the actual FDI.
Please introduce yourself to the audience. They're wondering who you are.
All right. Yeah, this is Khurram Zubairi. I'm based out of Chicago, and I represent the organization called Jumpstart Pakistan. This is Khurram Zubairi. I'm based out of Chicago, and I represent an organization called Jumpstart Pakistan. I've been involved with like many startups and for past 7-8 years. But there is a great potential in terms of the actual building of an entrepreneurial ecosystem in GB. Several of the startups have actually worked personally with them, and I can give one example that they actually, on the apricot side, because the apricots grow in GB like pretty much in backyards of people's houses. So what they did was they started actually collecting them and slowly and steadily, and then cleaning them and packing them and just taking them away, and creating a supply chain. And so much so that they started actually giving them the dryers, so you could actually dry up the apricots, which usually would go waste. And now they're actually supplying into Dubai. So, I mean, there are like tons of those opportunities which are on the micro level, which, as you mentioned about the actual bottom up bit. And I'm just wondering that, through this initiative, can those smaller initiatives can be actually taken care, and some of the startup scene can be developed. I'm aware that already in Gilgit, there's an incubation center that's been established, but how can we channelize all that young talent into actually launching some micro initiatives? I see a great potential in terms of the, turbines on the river run. I see great potential in terms of the, the tourism aspect of it. But whenever the tourism is being seen as some sort of like a connection with the restaurants, connection with the hospitality, I mean, there are like tons of other things can be connected with it, like where those sheets going to come from, which is going to be used in those hospitality places, where the actual trained human resource is going to come from, which needs to be actually trained on site in order to actually service those hospitalities. So, I mean, there are like 100 other services are connected with the tourism, and all I see is a potential. So I'm just wondering about if somebody can actually comment on that, how to channelize all that. And then, the bigger picture can emerge by putting all those jigsaw pieces.
So I think, thank you for that question. I'd like if any one of the speakers is around to please comment on that, but a quick, we'll take another question from principal, and then maybe we can respond to this question and the next question. Thank you, Mansoor. Can we give principal the mic?
So a very good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
Sir, actually, I want to say that this meeting is hacked. There is some outsiders also, sir. So I want to say that only we can end up this meeting and rejoin again. There are some outsiders also, sir.
Outsider meaning this meeting is meant for outsiders. If you allow me, we are allowed. This is an investment roadshow, so we are happy that there are people from outside.
Okay, sir. So that's all. That's only my concern.
Thank you very much. So maybe we seem to have lost our core speaker group, but I think Humayun, do you want to take the question from that we have from our friend Karakorum Zuberi? Karakorum, before Humayun says response to you, let me quickly just respond that this initiative, again, I will send you further details, but if you go through the website, you'll find that there is an enormous amount of options to do what you do in Jumpstart Pakistan. So we would hope that Jumpstart Pakistan is a collaborator. So maybe Humayun and Hassan Daud, if you can respond to Karakorum Zuberi in Chicago.
So maybe I can take the lead since you called my name first, and then I think I can pass on the floor to Hassan Saab. My take on developing the supply chain is, I think probably one thing that we as a Pakistanis and Pakistan generally are facing, and I'm not sure to what extent do we realize that thing, is that our access to influencers and decision makers. I think that's a huge missing piece to get any foreign investor or even domestic investor to invest into developing that supply chain. I mean, I can probably, I think over the period, our headcount for overseas Pakistanis in some ways has been increasing, but the count of influencers who have access to the boardroom, who have access to probably CEO and MD, that count is probably dropping in. So I think that's one area where we need to really focus. And that's where you can really pitch to the MNCs and foreign investors, because they are the ones who come with ideas, creativity, a pocket, and they market not just your product, but they also market your region. So I'll give you one example from Malaysia. Malaysia is a country of 34 million people. Pakistan, in terms of population and size, is more than 7 times or 10 times the size of Malaysia, and probably in terms of resources as well. But how Malaysia has positioned itself is as a gateway to ASEAN, a region of 600 million people. And they have done it super successfully. In our presentations, when we engage in this region here, we position we position Pakistan as a gateway to the market of 500 million people. So you count 200 plus Pakistan, Afghanistan 34, Central Asia 100 plus, and Iran. Everybody wants to do business with Iran despite all the sanctions and all those things, and a lot of people do that. We share more than 700 kilometers worth of border with them. So 80 million population, market size is that. So while Iran is penetrating us, but we are not able to position ourselves as well as a gateway into this South Asia region market of 500 million people. Okay, fine, India is 1 billion plus, but we are also 500 million resource-rich consumer market. So I would say that to answer how, I think we need to do a better job to engage and promote our influences. And one of the things in my introduction that was mentioned was that I am the founding member of Southeast Asia ICAP, a committee, coordination committee. So the thought process behind that is that Humayun Habib individually can only do so much, and Humayun today is here, maybe tomorrow he's not here. But if we are able to create an institutional platform, then there will be institutional engagement between the regions and the people. So I think that can help us promote that thing. So I would say in one word that influencers and decision makers, we need to engage, we need to promote them, and we need to engage I'm aware of some of the multinational company senior folks also in my friend circle, and the kind of challenge that we face. It only takes one naysayer in the decision-making room to say that, oh, boss, Pakistan is on FATF list. And then this Gora man, who's the decision maker, he is hesitant to take a decision and give a green light to invest in Pakistan. I have seen this. My friends have shared this experience with me. I think that's where we need to probably focus if we really want to get the serious foreign investors to really engage and be stakeholder in the Pakistan market. Trust me, a lot of multinationals are doing billions of dollars worth of trade with Pakistan, which is a trading model. They're not bringing tourists. They're not bringing in some investment which will upskill the people. They are not really bringing in something. They're just investing and trading in commodities. So I think this is one area which we seriously need to change. That's my take.
Thank you, Humayun. That's very kind. Hassan, do you want to add something on that, please? Hassan Dawood, if you're there. I guess Hassan is engaged elsewhere. Let me be very quick before I invite somebody again from the table. If there are any other questions, please raise your hand. Just to again summarize, we are doing these webinars as roadshows to prepare for the first investment conference to be held in Baltistan in the month of March. We are hoping to start this on Nowruz, over Nowruz, from March 21st through to 25. So therefore, before I go back to the floor, maybe, and Junaid, I recognize you, let me bring in Jalal Shah from Almaty, who is a part of the global team of Rupani Foundation. Jalal, anything that you would like to add based on what you've learned, maybe some quick synopsis points?
Thank you, Amar Bhai, and thank you everyone who are still with us and who left. We appreciate your time. Of course, there are tremendous takeaways from our august speakers, which of course the core team needs to digest and integrate all possible options into our plans. But at the same time, I would like to address a few of the questions raised, concerns raised by Aziz Saab, Khadija Khan, and many others, that this is just the beginning, and we expect all of you as our partners, because when we, if you look at the slogans of this initiative, is the people and nature. So that means that this journey is not a solo flight of this private initiative, but everyone from the GB in particular and in Pakistan in general. So because in a one webinar, we will not be able to answer all questions in detail. That's why we have a website, a platform where all research materials are available. And offline, we are as partners available to answer your questions. And definitely when we talk about impact investments, so here the word impact itself resonate a lot of things. And then plus within this private initiative, you look at the combination of partners. We have academic institutions, so they are not only the names, but also they bring the number of students studying in those universities. GBII and Baltistan University covers the large population of students studying there. So eventually the participation of these universities, or the objective of participation of these universities, the think tank and university in Islamabad, is also to bring all these issues which Khurram mentioned about the micro link up or bottom up, and then also the sectoral integrations, the sensitivities, the nature, the culture, and all. So these all are there, and this objective of these webinars from our partner side is to learn and unlearn and relearn. So and then we will have a conference, and after the conference, the series of discussions and everything will start. And of course, the government is the major player here, and I'm also very much convinced, which our KP colleague said, that we are not talking about tall promises, rather a realistic options for impact investment, and with responsibility, which was predominantly mentioned in our video. So these are some of the synopsis of the whole objective. Please don't mind if we have to cut you short in presenting your questions, but that is not the end of the day. So we are here, and I know Aziza personally, so we will give you answers as well. And Khadija, your concerns are very, very important. So this platform will provide opportunity for not only investors, but also social investors like civil society at large to come together and complement each other, and then we can achieve the ultimate objectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jalal, for that. Mr. Junaid Kazalwash, would you like to still ask your question? I see that you've got your hand down, so I presume. Before we end, I'd like to give an opportunity to our dear friends. Is Dr. Naeem here from University of Baltistan? Do we see him, Mansoor?
नहीं सर डॉक्टर ने नेम साहब के नाम से कोई भी नहीं है.
Okay, excellent. So maybe before we close, we have any other questions from the audience before we go? Just to let you know, we'll be announcing for the last 4 webinars. This is the first one. You will be getting through social media updates on when these webinars will be held. We are trying to target different regions. So this first one, we tried to engage with Southeast Asia. That does not mean that we will not have people from Southeast Asia in the next webinars. We will also be, by the way, announcing those dates very soon. There should be one either on the 21st or very close to the 21st. And also, please be ready. February is the month for Gilgit-Baltistan at the Pakistan Pavilion on AIN Expo 2020. Khadija, do you have a quick question? Maybe Mansoor, we can give 30 seconds to Khadija. And then
not really a question, but I request you to maybe whoever takes the notes of this webinar should share the proceedings of the webinar widely, so everybody is
that will be
aware
done,
of what's
Khadija. This
happening.
is being organized by the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics. All webinars are available, and so will this one be by tomorrow. The complete recording will be there for you too. And again, as we were saying, we are here to answer. Again, you can see Mansoor has put, it's www.facebook.com/PIDE Islamabad. All the recording will be there. Also on the PIDE's website, you'll have the YouTube recording. So feel free to look at it.
Thank you so much. Thank
Most
you.
welcome, Khadija. Actually, listen, now we have Jalal. Jalal, any last words quickly? Mansoor, can we give the mic back to Jalal?
Jalal sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jalal.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Jalal, based out of Gilgit, currently associated with Rupani Foundation. My concern is...
Let me clarify that this is another Jalal. This is not Sayyid Jalal.
This is another. Yes. One is based out of Almaty and one is from Gilgit.
Thank you, Jalal.
It was a really nice discussion. My concern is just to know when we are talking about the investment in Gilgit Baltistan, particularly when we see the current infrastructure and bottlenecks, the power is the main issue. Before we invest in any sector, the power will be a hurdle to actualize any investment. The second is when we are talking about the tourism, the influx of tourism is year by year increasing in Gilgit Baltistan, but at the same time, we can see a haphazard construction around Gilgit Baltistan, damaging the natural habitat and also equally disturbing the local people and culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jalal. They're very important points. And I think I cannot stress enough that until we see you all at the next webinar, that our aim is to ensure that we continue in a very sustainable and eco-friendly manner. It is precisely because of the unplanned activities that we see in Gilgit Baltistan that it is very important for us to make sure that no such initiatives are going forward, and that whatever we bring in terms of investment should first and foremost respect, as I said, the principles. And I think for Aziz Ahmed Saab, हमने ये पहले भी बोला था, our principles are people, nature, value. If you do not follow these three principles, you are not part of this impact investment initiative. So thank you very much. I'd like to now close it. We usually continue these webinars for about for 1 hour and 30 minutes. We are 3 minutes above time. So Humayun Habib Saab, thank you very much. Qazi Najib, thank you very much. All the people on the table, thank you very much. Salman Shah Saab, Hassan Dawood Saab, Faratullah Saab, who we could not get this time. We'll have him here on the next webinar. Also, thank you. Big thanks to Harun Sharif Saab for kicking this series off. And I think we learned a lot from them. So ladies and gentlemen, you will be hearing, please stay tuned to the social media for our next Roadshow webinar. And thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And Mansoor, thanks for organizing this.